Professor Barati here. Some of you sent some emails about problem 15, which is the variable factory overhead variance. You're having a little problem with it, so I thought I basically would go over the problem with different numbers. So you basically just have to follow the logic and theory, and it should get you through the problem. So we have a factory that produces boots, and it costs its boots with direct materials, direct labor, manufacturing overhead. The firm traces all direct costs to products, and it assigns overhead based on direct labor hours. The company budgeted $9,600 of variable overhead, 2,000 direct labors, and to manufacture 4,000 pairs of boots. The factory used 3,700 direct labor hours in March to manufacture 3,800 boots and spent 16,800 on variable overhead during the month. For March, the factory budgeted 92,000 fixed overhead. Its practical capacity is 2,000 direct labor hours per month to manufacture 4,000 pairs of boots. Actual fixed overhead was $95,000. So it wants us to compute flexible budget variance, the spending variance, and the efficiency variance. So let's see what we have here. If we go to our spreadsheet here and just focus on the variable overhead, let's see what items we can figure out quickly. It said that the factory used 3,700 direct labor hours. Now, because we're using variable overhead, we're doing the variable overhead variance analysis, and the company assigns overhead based on direct labor hours. Therefore, the input for variable overhead for this company, the input, the quantity, is measured in direct labor hours, 3,700. The company does not tell us what the applied rate is for the 3,700 hours. We don't know that. But it does tell us what the total variable factory overhead was, 16,800. So we can basically figure that out. 16,800 divided by 3,700 gives us the applied rate per direct labor hour. Now let's work on our flexible standard side. The standard quantity is not given, nor is the amount, the rate that we should apply. However, we can figure it out from the problem by doing the budgeting. The company budgeted 9,600 variable overhead, and he used 2,000 direct labor hours as its budget. So the predetermined rate is $4.80. Now let's try to figure out our quantity. It says it can produce 4,000 pairs of boots with 2,000 direct labor hours. So the 2,000 direct labor hours to produce 4,000. So how many direct labor hours how many direct labor hours can produce one boot? That's essentially what we have to bring this down to. The answer is 0.5, 2,000 over 4,000. So 0.50 direct labor hours will produce one boot. How many boots were produced? It tells us that 3,800 boots were produced. So if we produce 3,800 boots and it takes 0.50 labor hours to produce one, we simply do the math. You take 0.50, so 1,900, wrong spot. Back to variable overhead. And essentially, that's your answer. Your total flexible variable variance is $7,680. Your price variance for variable overhead is $960, favorable. Your efficiency variance is $8,640, unfavorable, to give you a total flexible variance of $7,680. So let's look at this. Our price was lower than our standard, therefore we have a favorable variance. We used a lot more direct labor hours to produce 3,800 boots than our standard, so we were less efficient in our production. We used more direct labor hours, so therefore our variable overhead got charged more, which created an unfavorable variance in efficiency of 8,640. Added together, we get a total flexible variance of $7,680. The problem doesn't require a journal entry, but let's do one real quick. The debit to WIP will always be the flexible standard because that's what gets applied. The credit is to applied overhead. The actual overhead comes in at $16,800. Various AP accounts. Now let's close out our applied factory overhead and our control account. So we're going to debit applied to close it out, and we're going to credit control to close it out. The difference is going to go to our price and efficiency variances. So let's look at our price variance. Our price was lower, therefore we had a favorable variance. So it means that our cost of goods based on our standard is going to be too high. So we want to lower that cost of goods sold. To do that, we're going to have to credit the price variance. The efficiency variance, on the other hand, we had a lot more direct labor hours incurred for the month, which increased variable overhead. Therefore, our cost of goods sold based on the standard is going to come in too low. So we have to get that higher at the end of the month. So to do that, we have to put 8,640 as a debit because these will eventually get closed out. To close these out at the end of the month, you're going to debit this account by 960 and credit cost of goods sold. And to close this account at the end of the month, you're going to credit efficiency variance overhead and debit cost of goods sold. And that's essentially the problem for Chapter 15, quick and easy. Thanks.